Good morning. It's Tuesday, October 9th. I'm Jeff Davis here with my executive assistant, Mirari Lucero Heraldo, for Via Adelante. We will be presenting our usual Tuesday morning meeting, and I have in the past conducted several of these meetings with and recorded them on Zoom, as we are doing today, for posting on social media for informational purposes and to publicize our project. Likely, there will be a great deal of repetition in the various presentations, because the project, the Green Freedom Project, which Via Adelante is sponsoring and engaged in, is quite complicated. And with each episode and the discussion of the aspects of the project, there are details that are left out. So when I return on the next episode to continue the discussion, often in order to set the basis for that discussion, it will be necessary to repeat a good deal of the foundation information. So let's get to it. Via Adelante is an organization here in Mexico, founded by myself with the assistance of my executive here, to pursue a number of socially beneficial projects, a couple in the healthcare field, and one major project, the Green Freedom Project, whose goal is to effect the remediation of global warming. That's a substantial ambition. And the project is a moonshot. And it's an outsized, megalomaniacal, crazy ass, huge undertaking. But that person's got to have something to do between the birth canal and the grave. And it looks like people around the world are concerned about global warming issues. So I think it was Mark Twain who said everybody talks about the weather, but nobody does anything about it. Well, Via Adelante intends to do something about it. So very quickly, the mechanism by which we do this is to fund the expansion of the supply chains that feed into the manufacture of green energy producing energy sources. And these, everyone knows what they are. Everyone knows how we are going to solve this problem going into the future. We have three mostly mature, but still incrementally improving means of producing energy without carbon dioxide emissions. And those three are solar, nuclear, and wind power. There are other smaller versions of green energy project, geothermal and tide flow harvesting, but primarily the ones that are widely known and are well developed into mature technology are solar, nuclear, and wind. I would add the additional feature of carbon capture, because while production of clean energy is important, really behind it all is a desire to reduce CO2 emissions. And one of the ways to reduce CO2 in the atmosphere is to pull it out of the atmosphere, for instance, by the planting of trees in areas where that becomes possible, generating biological plant activity to suck carbon dioxide out of the atmosphere. However, we are focusing at the beginning with expanding the supply chains for the production of solar energy. This is universally accepted as a high quality mechanism for replacing some portion of the hydrocarbon generated energy. Now, the issue is that the scale of the project is huge. Why? Because the total global energy consumed by the modern civilization around the world is approximately, that is the portion of it generated by hydrocarbons, coal, oil, and natural gas, is 150,000 terawatt hours of energy. It's a lot. The number and the term terawatt hours doesn't really have a lot of meaning for people. It doesn't connect to the scale of the amount of energy generated, but it's a lot. Now, I mean, consider all the coal mines, all the coal equipment, all the coal trains, all of the power plants that consume coal with their boilers and their steam turbines and their generators, all of that infrastructure, plus all the oil wells and oil pipelines and oil refineries and offshore oil platforms and oil tankers that carry their product to the end user. From the refinery, you get gasoline and diesel fuel. And at the power plants around the world that use oil, you get bunker oil mostly. And then, of course, natural gas wells and natural gas pipelines that feed natural gas power plants, which also have boilers and steam turbines and generators. All of this infrastructure, trillions of dollars worth of infrastructure, vast quantities of infrastructure. Oh, did I leave out those offshore oil platforms? I don't think I did. But if you've ever seen one, these are gigantic constructions that cost hundreds of millions of dollars, clearly. And added to the other infrastructure elements, we're talking trillions of dollars of capital infrastructure. This is what must be replaced. Now, by the way, for those of you who may be viewing, I advise you go to the speed of the video presentation and jack it up to 1.25 times speed, because I tend to speak slow enough so that it can keep up, my thinking can keep up with my speaking. It'll just help you get through it quicker. So we want to replace all of that infrastructure. Now, I'm focusing on solar, which is 1/3 of the solar, wind, and nuclear sources of clean energy. So I'm going to apportion as our goal, the replacement of 50,000 of the 150,000 terawatt hours with solar energy. Now, replacing 50,000 terawatt hours, I could give you the math, but it would bore you. The fact is, it's such a very substantial amount of energy that in order to do it even quickly with a well-organized and dedicated program, it's going to take between 20 and 30 years. This is actually not a bad thing. First of all, there's no way to do it faster, really. The size of the project is so huge that let me just say this. It's an engineering project. It's a fact-based project. It's the kind of thing where you say, okay, what's the time scale for completing the project? And then once you know the time scale and you know the amount of energy that needs to be produced, you'll know the rate at which you need to build solar panel factories. It really isn't an emotional situation. It's a fact-based engineering situation. And once you set the parameters, you can solve the mathematical issues involved. There will be extensive controversy about this. There'll be the people, the naysayers, who will have their arguments. But I set all of that emotional and social turmoil and conversation aside. It's a simple engineering project. You determine what the details of increasing the supply chains, what those details are, and the time scale at which you want to perform it, complete it, and then you come up with the numbers you need about how rapidly you assign the people to perform the details that bring the project to fruition. Now, that is the goal of the Green Freedom Project. But up till now, the regular economic circumstances in the world have not been able to imagine that this is doable. And the reason, they say, oh, well, it's too large, it's too big, it can't be done. The reason that they say that is not that it's too large, it can't be done, but because at the center of this issue, there is the problem of funding. Where are you going to get the money to pay for all of the people and materials that will be necessary, the workers, the managers, who will then be assigned the details of the project, expanding out, performing outreach to the current people who operate the current solar panel production and all of their suppliers in the upstream supply chain, and get them, those people who already know how to do this, to expand their activity by a factor of 100. That's huge. And the size of it creates a problem with funding. Where do you get the money? The simple truth is that within the current economic system, there isn't enough money. That is the weak link in the chain. Now, it's currently true. You can go to PV Magazine and you can find the information about the details of current solar panel production across the planet. All of the new solar panel projects, all of the advancements in the technology, all the different styles of solar panels, all those elements. And you will find, looking at that situation, that the current production of solar panels is increasing by a factor of 30% per year. They will get there. But at 30% a year, you're not going to get there in less than 100 years. So that's a problem. We need to speed that up. And to do that, we need to expand all of the aspects of the production of solar energy, the factories and their upstream supply chains. And as I said, the problem is not enough money. There are plenty of workers out there. The technology is mature. The people who perform these production activities already know how to do it. They're skilled at it. 90% of them, by the way, 90% of solar panel production currently is in China. And I think the number, although I could be wrong, is about 80 companies. Could be 800 companies. I forget. But 90% of it is in China. And so China would obviously, Chinese companies involved in this activity would be enlisted to use their experience in generating this product to expand it, to train people, hire people, find people, expand their activities by whatever factor is possible. And again, we return to the funding issue. Here is where the choke point lies. And here is where Via Adelante and the Green Freedom Project have a solution. Okay, so get ready. This is the hard part. We have a world global economic order. Let's call it the neoliberal economic system. And we have almost always had it, although economics has changed with the times. There was once a feudal system, and the feudal system became the capitalist system, the industrial capitalist system. And the industrial capitalist system has moved on to the digital era. Well, the digital era brought into existence an alternative monetary opportunity, an alternative digital currency. We know about it, Bitcoin and Ethereum. Bitcoin came into being in 2009 and is proof of principle that you can create digital money. And since 2009, we're now 24 years, 14 years, excuse me, on from the very first issuance of Bitcoin in 2009. The cryptocurrency ecosystem, economic ecosystem, has expanded by leaps and bounds for a variety of reasons. One of which is the pace of technology in general has accelerated to a mind-bending pace. And the other is that there is a distinct value in this new digital financial opportunity. In the past, all currencies were controlled and all digital assets were controlled by regulatory agencies and governments. But with an international network, the internet, the digital financial system created with cryptocurrencies is global, is extra jurisdictional. It lies outside of the jurisdiction of any specific country, has a certain degree of a substantial degree, a crucial degree of independence from any individual sovereign country, which means Bitcoin and all of the additional cryptocurrencies of which there are now, well, you have Bitcoin, you have Ethereum, you have Solana, you have Cardano, you have Ripple, a variety of individual currencies built on individual and separate blockchain networks. And overall, the use of the crypto ecosystem has expanded to include a secondary level of tokens. These are called crypto tokens, which are not based on their own independent blockchains, but which rather use the blockchains that are currently in existence, then started with Ethereum network, which was the second of the cryptocurrencies, and which created a functionality that allowed secondary tokens to be issued on their network with a very substantial degree of functionality. In essence, you can configure almost any financial instrument you want into a smart contract that can then be mounted on what is called a smart blockchain, the Ethereum blockchain. And the Ethereum smart blockchain, proving to be extremely successful in hosting substantial numbers of secondary tokens, has been matched by the Binance smart chain, which basically took the open source code that the Ethereum blockchain uses and repurposed it and renamed their separate blockchain as the Binance Smart Chain. This is 14 years now of growth from the emergence of this technology. And it makes possible the issuance of now, currently, you can find this on CoinMarketCap in the upper left-hand corner, the number of different crypto tokens that are supported, 1.8 million tokens or crypto financial instruments. In the beginning, the challenge to sovereign currencies, particularly the dollar-dominated neoliberal system, initiated what I refer to as a war against crypto by the United States regulators, the Securities and Exchange Commission. And in the last few months and years, we've seen on the news the several different attacks against cryptos by the Securities and Exchange Commission of the United States. But that war, which I observed being initiated approximately the 1st of August in 2017, was going to be lost. It was lost from the first day, just as cars replaced horses, just as the internal combustion engine replaced horse-drawn travel. Cryptos are going to supplant the old financial neoliberal system. And here is where the opportunity for getting the funding at a level necessary to enable the Green Freedom Project to actually be brought into execution. This is where the funding opportunity lies. Via Adelante, as sponsor of the Green Freedom Project, has issued its own version 0.9 cryptocurrency with the specific purpose of using this currency to fund the expansion of the Green Freedom Project, expansion of the solar panel, solar, nuclear, and wind supply chains at a rate and a volume, enabling us to replace carbon, CO2 generating hydrocarbon energy sources within a 20 to 30 year period. It's a big project, takes a long time, which is good because that will allow for a gradual and orderly transition from the old style to the new. The creation of its own blockchain, its own wallet, its own capital market, its own currency on the blockchain will allow the funding of the Green Freedom Project. Now, the issuance of a new currency is one part of the creation of nothing less than a completely new and alternative global monetary system, an alternative to the old neoliberal system. And the old neoliberal system maintained a monopoly on pretty much all international development activity. They had the funding. If you wanted to fund the project, you had to go to the people who controlled the money supply through the old neoliberal system. With the emergence of the cryptocurrency ecosystem, that monopoly has now been broken. Via Adelante, through the Green Freedom Project, has created a capital market with a capital funding of equivalent to $600 trillion worth of capital. That's a good deal more than is actually needed to fund the expansion of green energy production. But I generated that amount of it with cryptocurrency in order to be sure to have enough to fund the project at the scale that it needs. Okay. The currency is called green. It's mounted currently on the Binance Smart Chain, the first version of it, and it will be used in its initial stages to fund the acquisition of a management team and a software development team. We will pay everyone who works in the Green Freedom Project with green. It is this opportunity to have unlimited funding, to hire the people necessary to perform all of the activities, all the details of the project, that breaks the blockage of limited funding that was heretofore the case, preventing the realistic development of green energy. Now, I'm going to get to a little business here and then shut down this version of the recording. You may have noticed that my executive assistant is sitting over here quietly listening while I do all the talking. That's all right. I'm creating. Go ahead. What do you say?
I'm quiet, but I am taking notes and thinking of everything that we have to do.
Essentially, this video, which we will mount on the internet for publicity purposes so that people can find out about the project and contact us to volunteer to take part in it, is a window into the headquarters activity of Via Adelante. I'm the guy who made it happen, and Merari is the person who does a lot of the legwork, most of it. And at the moment, we have been developing this in stealth mode for a couple of years now. And Merari has been helping me. We live in Mexico. I live in Mexico. And Via Adelante is an organization in Mexico. And Merari has helped me interface with the Mexican authorities to do all of the bureaucratic paperwork necessary to create an organization here in Mexico. My Spanish is pretty good. I had 15 to 20 years of practice, but not good enough to go into a Mexican bureaucracy office and do the necessary details required for filings and such. Merari takes care of that for me. But also, I'm old and retired and somewhat lazy, so I really don't want to work. If I were 30 and a young Turk with a fire in the belly and an ambition to create a career, if not an empire, I would not be as relaxed about this as I am. But it's all right. Everybody has their style. This is my style of podcast. This is my style of business. So, Via Adelante would like people who in Mexico would like to take part and begin the process of building this project. I want top-level managers, top-level Mexican managers. So contact us through our email, via.adelante@gmail.com. We don't have a website yet. Merari's working on the website. We will soon have a website. We have done this. So I will regularly be making these podcasts so that you may watch as the project develops, a fly on the wall, as it were, within the new podcast media environment. Watch the Via Adelante project take off. So today, finally, business. Managerial personnel in Mexico who want to take part, contact us at via.adelante@gmail.com. Additionally, governmental officials in Mexico, whom I have attempted to contact before, but have failed to, have not been successful at, I want to contact them. These are Raquel, help me here.
Buen rostro.
Buen Rostro, who is the current economics minister for Mexico, and Tatiana Cloutier, former economics minister for Mexico, and also the woman behind AMLO who got him elected and who is currently working to get Claudia Sheinbaum, the Morena party candidate for the Mexican presidency, the election of which will come up next year.
Yes.
Next year?
Next year.
Next. These are the people in Mexican leadership that I would very much like to speak to and whom I have failed to be able to contact before. People in places, high places, have a lot of folks trying to get in contact with them. And so it's kind of difficult. Nevertheless, out there in the video land, in the internet media land, there are folks who know these people and who know how to contact them. And we're continuing to work on it on our own. Management personnel, contact with Mexican leadership, and that's a good place to start. I may have, software development team. I need folks. We have the first version of the crypto, but I need an independent and dedicated blockchain network, and I need an independent and dedicated cryptocurrency and an independent and dedicated wallet, so that everyone who participates and gets paid in green can put their wallet on their smartphone and use green in their everyday activities, interacting with whomever for whatever daily economic transactions they may naturally be engaged in. Okay, so I've already droned on for a while, and I know personal experience that a long video like this sometimes loses the listener. So I'm going to shut it down at that point. Have done what we've done. Mirari's working on the website that we'll have information for, and she's working on the translation of these videos. I'm an English speaker, and we need to have them translated or dubbed as it is. There's some automatic dubbing programming so that we can make our presentation to the Mexican people who Via Adelante wants to establish a very substantial portion of this project in Mexico, which has a substantial solar energy resource, which is the patrimony of the Mexican people. So we'll get translations, dubbings into Spanish, and use that to publicize the project here in Mexico and elsewhere globally among the global Spanish-speaking people. And I'm talking about Honduras, El Salvador, Guatemala, Bolivia, Argentina, and Brazil is Portuguese, but we'll figure a way to get to Brazil too. All of the BRICS nations who have wanted a crypto, an alternative neoliberal system to the neoliberal system, and they're now working hard to break free of the old system. We would like to offer the Green Freedom Project to them as an opportunity to achieve that end. So I will close it down for today. This is Jeff Davis and Mirari Lucero Geraldo for Via Adelante. And you can contact us at via.adelante@gmail.com. I have a YouTube channel which will soon have more content than the very limited introductory video that's there at the moment. So keep in touch, check out Via Adelante on YouTube, and send your messages to my executive assistant, Mirari Lucero Geraldo at via.adelante@gmail.com. Thank you very much, and goodbye for today. We will see you again soon.